In the late 1970s, the most famous engineer in America walked away from the best job in the car business to bet everything on a single machine. Within 5 years, that machine would make him a legend and destroy him. His name was John DeLorean. At General Motors, he was a superstar, the man who helped create the Pontiac GTO, the car that launched the muscle car era. He became one of the youngest division heads in the company's history, with the salary, the corner office, and a clear path to the very top. And he gave it all up. DeLorean didn't want to climb someone else's ladder. He wanted to build his own car, with his own name on the back of it. In 1975, he founded the DeLorean Motor Company with one product in mind and almost no money to build it. He was selling a dream, and he was magnificent at it. But the problem was simple, and it would never go away. John DeLorean had the vision, the charisma, and the name. What he did not have was the money. The car he imagined looked like nothing else on the road. Its doors opened upward, like wings, and its body wore no paint at all, just bare, brushed stainless steel that would never rust and never fade. He hired the best. The shape was drawn by Giorgetto Giugiaro, the Italian master behind a generation of icons. The name was clean and simple, the DMC-12. And DeLorean promised it would be an ethical sports car, safe, durable, built to last for decades. On paper, it was the future, a sharp steel wedge with gull-winged doors that you could supposedly leave to your grandchildren. The press was fascinated. Deposits started coming in. People wanted this car before it even existed. But a beautiful shape is not a car. Someone still had to make the thing actually work. The engine, the chassis, the engineering under the steel. And DeLorean, the great salesman, needed two things he didn't have: an engineer to build it and a country willing to pay for the factory. For the engineering, he turned to Lotus and its brilliant, ruthless founder, Colin Chapman. Lotus threw out much of DeLorean's original design and rebuilt the car around a steel backbone chassis of its own. The dream finally had real bones. For the factory, DeLorean found an even more unlikely partner, the British government. Northern Ireland at the end of the 1970s was gripped by violence and desperate for jobs. So Britain made an extraordinary offer. Build your factory here, in Dunmurry, just outside Belfast, and the taxpayer will fund it. The sums were staggering. By the end, the British government had poured tens of millions of pounds, by some counts approaching 100 million, into a sports car for Americans, built by a workforce with no experience making cars in one of the most troubled corners of Europe. It was a colossal gamble stacked on a colossal gamble. A first-time car maker, a brand new factory, an untrained workforce, a borrowed chassis, and a government betting jobs on a luxury toy. Everything had to go right. Almost nothing did. In 1981, the DeLorean finally reached American showrooms, and the dream collided with reality. Under that gorgeous stainless skin sat a modest V6 making only around 130 horsepower, hauling a heavy car that looked far faster than it actually was. Reviewers found it slow. The early cars were riddled with quality problems from the inexperienced factory. and the price had climbed to around $25,000, far more than a Chevrolet Corvette. DeLorean had promised the future and delivered something slower and pricier than the cars it was supposed to humble. Worse, his timing was catastrophic. America had fallen into a deep recession, interest rates were brutal, and an expensive sports car was the first thing buyers stopped buying. The car that people had lined up to buy on paper sat, in reality, on dealer lots. The deposits dried up, and the most expensive thing any car maker can do, build cars that nobody drives home, began, quietly, to bleed the DeLorean Motor Company to death. Here, the story turns from disappointing to almost unbelievable. By the end of 1981, the factory had built around 7,500 cars and sold only about 3,000 of them. Faced with a mountain of unsold cars, John DeLorean made a decision that still stuns people today. He doubled production. More cars poured out of Dunmurry and straight into storage, unsold stock piling up while the cash drained away. The British government had seen enough. It had pumped tens of millions into the company and watched them vanish into a sea of unsold stainless steel. In early 1982, Britain pulled the plug, put the company into receivership, and declared the DeLorean Motor Company insolvent. DeLorean was now a man drowning. His company was collapsing, his factory was about to close, and the dream he had staked his entire reputation on was weeks from death. He needed a miracle or a fortune, very fast. What he reached for instead became one of the most infamous moments in business history. In October 1982, John DeLorean walked into a hotel room to meet men he believed could save his company. They were FBI agents, and the deal on the table was not about cars, it was about cocaine. The government filmed everything. DeLorean was arrested and charged with conspiring to traffic millions of dollars of cocaine. Court prosecutors said trying to fund his failing company with a drug deal. He was videotaped holding a package of it, reportedly calling it better than gold. It was the end. The arrest finished what the unsold cars had started. The Dunmurry factory closed for good, the British money was gone, and the DeLorean Motor Company collapsed into bankruptcy. Around 9,000 cars had been built. There would never be a second model. 2 years later, in 1984, a jury acquitted John DeLorean of every charge, ruling that he had been the victim of government entrapment. He walked out a free man, but there was nothing left to walk back to. His company was already dead, and his name was in ruins. And then came the strangest twist of all. 1 year after the trial, a Hollywood film turned the DeLorean into a time machine and made the failed car immortal. Today, it is one of the most recognized vehicles on Earth, loved by millions who never knew its maker had gone broke trying to sell it. John DeLorean dreamed of building a car that would outlive him. He got his wish. He just had to lose everything to get it.